Hey guys, it is Wingy here and welcome back to a brand new video on my channel. Today I'm doing another unpopular opinions video, and for the film that I am talking about today, I think I've picked the wrong week to do it. Tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow at least, is May the 4th, which is universally agreed by many people to be official Star Wars Day. So now is obviously the perfect time to talk about Rogue One and why I do not like it that much. As always with videos like this, it is just my opinion, I can't stress that enough. So if you don't necessarily agree with me, that is entirely fine. But at least hear me out first. So at the time of recording this, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story is the latest Star Wars movie to be released, and it is also the first of the spin-off anthology movies. And when it came out, lots of people said it is probably the best Star Wars movie since Empire Strikes Back. Ooh, no it isn't. Now the first ever video that I did on my channel was defending The Force Awakens. I often find that there are a lot of people like me who love The Force Awakens but aren't too keen on this, and vice versa. Before I go into the main issues of it though, I'm going to tell you what I do actually like about Rogue One. I don't think it's a terrible movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's just a very average and okay movie. Having said that though, it is probably the most beautiful looking Star Wars movie that we've ever had. Whether it's the faithful recreations of places like the Tantive 4, the Death Star, Yavin 4, and you've also got these new locations as well which look equally as stunning. Also, Vader's castle is something that I've wanted to see on the big screen for a long time, and we finally got it, and it looks pretty fucking cool. You can really tell that this movie was made with a lot of love and care from someone, well, lots of people I imagine, that are genuine Star Wars fans. You also have some of the best and most brilliant moments that Darth Vader has ever had. Well, one in particular. Even if you hate this movie, you can't deny that scene at the end of the film is amazing. I don't know anyone who was watching that scene and left without some sort of erection or moisture in their genital area. It was honestly that good.
Stop. My penis can only get so erect.
And we get one of the biggest plot holes in the original trilogy that gets completely sorted in this movie. It makes sense, so when you rewatch A New Hope after seeing Rogue One, you see it in a completely different way. However, that is also where my problem starts. The fact that they sorted the whole ventilation shaft or whatever it was, the way that they explain that in this movie, yeah, it's fine, it makes sense, it makes, as I say, it makes New Hope a much better film. But I feel that's all Rogue One really offers. The original concept for this movie was based off of the first paragraph out of this opening scroll from A New Hope. And that is really how paper thin this story and a lot of the characters in it really come across. Like they are just a paragraph. There's no real depth to this movie, and there's no real stakes in this movie either. Because this is a prequel, you know where these characters are going to end up. None of the people in this movie are in the original trilogy at any point. So you're going into this movie thinking, yeah, they're gonna get the Death Star plans, and then they're probably gonna die. And that is exactly what happens. Now that isn't the movie's fault. The movie obviously couldn't avoid that sort of thing, but they could have added just more to these characters so when they do eventually meet their end, you actually give a shit about them. I remember leaving the theatre and walking out of this movie, and except for Jyn Erso, whose name had been plastered all over different campaign trails and spots and all that kind of thing, except for her, I left not knowing any one of the characters' names. Not one. It almost feels as if they are trying to cram trilogies worth of character development into these characters within the space of 2 hours. Star Wars is great for telling people stories over multiple films, but it's not really good at condensing it down the way that Rogue One has done it. Plus, this is probably the biggest ensemble cast that we have had in a Star Wars movie, so whilst there is less time, unlike the main saga movies, you also have a much bigger cast to deal with as well, and not everyone really gets their time to shine. Considering some of the rich characters that you have in the Star Wars universe, it was just a massive letdown to me that I just really didn't give a shit about any of them. Now, Jyn Erso is obviously the main focus of the movie. The only issue I have with her is she is the most boring out of the lot of them. Now, her backstory, yeah, whatever, it's a generic thing that we've seen in multiple different Star Wars movies as well as many other movies. And then after that, we have Felicity Jones, who is practically monotone throughout the entire film, except for the scene where her dad dies. She's exactly the same. When she's happy, when she's sad, when she's angry, she is exactly the same. You know, when you look at people who have been cast in Star Wars movies before, people like Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher and people like that, you can't imagine anyone else playing that character. Jyn Erso could have been played by anyone. Honestly, if you swap her out for Emilia Clarke, Jenna Coleman, who was the other one I said? Who the fuck fucking hell was the other one that I said? Hayley Atwell. You could swap her out for any one of them and it would not really affect her character. They would all be as serviceable as Felicity Jones was. And it's such a shame because the focal point of this movie, well, a lot of this movie, is her. And she was easily the weakest element of the film to me. Jin didn't blow me away. None of them did. You know, any of them, they could have all have been played by anyone. No one stole the movie. And I shouldn't feel that at the end of a movie like this, oh cool, right, okay, they're dead now we can get on to the movies that I actually care about. One of the more controversial things about Rogue One was of course the use of CGI characters. Now, not necessarily Jar Jar Binks, probably worse was the reception for a lot of this stuff. The fact that they used a likeness for both Carrie Fisher and Peter Cushing was a massive talking point about this film. It turned into a huge ethical dilemma. Thing is, it didn't really bother me, particularly Peter Cushing. I don't think that he looked that bad. He just looked like a really good video game character, which is fine. It didn't really bother me. He wasn't in it enough for it to get on my nerves. Sure, it does take a couple of seconds for you to adjust, but it's fine. And it actually improves Peter Cushing's character in the original trilogy. You don't really see too much of Tarkin, and you don't really see too much of him here, but you do get an added layer to him, and I do think it was necessary. Leia, on the other hand, I thought Leia looked shit, and this wasn't the movie's fault, and no one could have seen this coming, but I think because this movie was released around the time of Carrie Fisher's death, it felt really uncomfortable seeing this cartoon version of Leia a few days after the woman herself had passed away. I'm not going to hold that against the movie because Carrie Fisher, I believe she did see it before she died and she did approve of it, but it just felt awkward to me leaving on that note. I'm not holding it against the movie though, I just thought I had to say, because I was on about the CGI characters anyway, so why the fuck not? And I feel a lot of this movie was just unnecessary. Stuff about the Death Star, great. We got a definitive answer about what happened there in the trench run in A New Hope. I don't know if I would say it is his best, but one of the best Darth Vader scenes that we have seen in any movie. You know, after that scene, people said, oh, we need a Vader movie next. No, we don't. We've had 6 of the fuckers. We don't need another Vader movie. I know where you're coming from, but no, we don't. And we also get to see some beautiful imagery. Like this movie, as I said earlier, it looks gorgeous. The problem is, they're only surface level things. You could have easily made this movie into a 4-part comic book series, or a prequel book to A New Hope, maybe even a video game in itself. Or maybe what you could have done, seeing as you need an ensemble cast of Rebels, you could have used this same story in Star Wars Rebels. You have an ensemble cast that you have time to grow with, you care about them, and it's a nice gap between Empire, no, not Empire, fucking hell, and it's a nice gap between the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. You didn't need Jyn Erso, you didn't need the dumbass robot guy, you didn't need Saw Gerrera, although I do know that he is in Clone Wars and Rebels, but he really pissed me off in Rogue One. Honestly, what a fucking waste of Forrest Whitaker, where Jim was just like, oh, come with me. No. Why? Shut up, I'm not in the next movie. I've got to get out of here somehow. I think the thing that really pisses me off the most, though, it's not necessarily the film itself. Yeah, it definitely fell flat in my eyes, although it does have good elements to it. Now, we always knew that Star Wars was a cash cow. I mean, after Force Awakens, they were releasing BB-8 oranges, which... fucking hell, that's a stretch, innit? But this movie sort of shows that Disney and Star Wars are just going to release anything just because they can make money from it. And people will definitely go and see it. I would rather have quality over quantity. I would rather wait a couple of years in between each of the main saga movies rather than them keep churning them out year after year after year. Now, I'm not on about the main saga movies, but I mean, there's this. Then there's going to be the Han Solo movie, which I really don't want. I don't know what other anthology films they've got planned, but there could be an Obi-Wan one. Obi-Wan 1. Obi-Wan 1. That doesn't sound right, does it? But it is. What? You know, as a Star Wars fan, and I imagine people watching this will be as well, surely you know what I'm saying. Like, surely you can understand, based on what I've said, why Rogue One made me feel so hollow, and why all these movies coming out every single year is starting to get quite frustrating for me, because they're just so unnecessary. Star Wars is probably the biggest franchise on the planet. People keep buying the video games, the action figures, they buy movie tickets. Everything to do with Star Wars, people will go out and buy. Rogue One was good enough, I guess. But I don't want good enough. Star Wars is supposed to be something special, so I hate that it has been turned into this industry just churning and churning and churning. Obviously they need to make money, but I'd rather they did it by giving us stuff that people want and people need, as opposed to something like Rogue One, which has its moments but was just completely drawn out and did not need to be a movie. So yeah, overall then, Rogue One is an alright movie. It just lacks a lot of depth, it lacks stakes, it lacks strong characters. It had the potential to be something different, and whilst it is to an extent, it isn't really. I know it's Star Wars week and I know people love this movie and whatever, but this is Unpopular Opinions and this is my opinion. So if you don't agree, that's fine. You're not really going to change my mind. Whilst I appreciate a lot of what this movie does and what it tried to do, it just didn't really deliver for me. But anyway, that is going to be it from me today. So let me know what you think of Rogue One in the comments below, whether you agree or not. Be nice to me and everyone else. At the end of the day, it's just a movie. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like on it and subscribe if you want to see more Star Wars, more positive Star Wars content on my channel, as well as other stuff. If you did any of that, I would love you forever. But until next time, guys, take care of yourselves. May the Force be with you. Goodbye. Finally, we got a definitive answer. Why did I say it twice? Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. Oh, that's gonna sound so fucking shit, innit?